Okay, now it is recording. Right. Now our database guys are mostly looking for databases that can be quickly provisioned, as well as something that can be always available or is highly available, right? So we always want to make sure that our database is always highly available locally, and then just in case something happens to the local database, we should be able to connect to our remote databases as well. So we are looking at a solution where we do not have to provision the servers. I would really not like to provision any kind of servers, but I want a database. So how is that possible without creating a server, and you still need a database? How is that possible, right? That's what platform as a service makes it happen, right? In platform as a service, you're looking for um, SQL database. On the left hand side of the blade, you see something called SQL databases, right? So when you click on it, you will be able to create an SQL database. Yeah, let's click on it and then create SQL database, right? Then you'll get a similar blade where you have to fill up the form, you create a resource group, and then when we are creating a database, right, let's select sample database there. Yeah, let's give it some name, like my first DB or Azure database or school database or student database, something, college database, electoral database, something. And then create a resource group or use an existing one. Okay. And then in the select resource, let's select a sample database. The reason why we are selecting is that once we are done with DB creation, we would like to query the database. We'll really like to see if fetch and put information. Well, in production environment, you will go ahead and select sample database and not sorry, you will select a blank database and not um, a sample database. Now you select a blank one. Okay. Next one is a server. So you select the server, and that's where you have the options to select and configure the servers. This is the server that will be running in the background. Give it a name, like SQL server or something. And it must be unique name, yeah. Yeah, give it a username and password. Now this username will and password will become the super admin to the SQL database. Make sure that the password that you're typing in is at least 8 characters long, and yeah, that's it. So you've selected East US. Good, let's select it. Click on select. Now the next one here is the elastic pool, which is primarily for performance reasons. That will select if you want good performance and high database transactions unit per unit, then you'll select elastic pool. um, so right now we're not selecting any elastic pool there. In the pricing tier section, you will have a couple of options, but because we are in the free tier, we may be able to select the standard one only. So this is again directly linked up with your performance level of your database that you're creating. You can move the slider up and down here. You can move the slider up and down to change the DTUs. You can go up to 350 GB out there. Storage, yeah, I think you can go up to 250 GB of storage. Can you scroll extreme to the right? Yeah, you got 250 GB. But for us, I think 10 GB should be sufficient. We don't need so much of space. And overall, we will not be able to select that because we are using a free tier. Right. Okay, great. Let's go create it. Let's go ahead and click on apply, and the next one is a collation, mostly related to the language part of it. Let's click on create. Now this database will take little while to get created. First thing that I will do after creating a database is giving access to people. Based on IP addresses, I may allow certain people, just like a VM has something called as a security group or a network security group. An SQL also has a server firewall, a server level firewall, where you can allow and deny certain IP addresses from accessing your database, right? So let's click refresh. You should have it there. Let's click refresh. Nope, not yet.
No, no.
Okay, no problem. So you got to think about various things as far as SQL is concerned, like geo redundancy. Would you like to keep your database in a different geographical region as well, just in case something happens to your East Coast data center? How about threat detection and auditing? Somebody asked me as well in the interviews, um, how will you make sure that any threats that your database may be vulnerable to, you protect them and you get alerted based on the threats that are hitting your database? How will you do that? Is there any option available in Microsoft SQL, Azure SQL? So, well, yeah, we'll take a look at those options. How do you make sure that your database is always redundant, always available? Okay, let's refresh it one more time.
No luck.
No luck.
Done.
Awesome. Let's click on it. Let's click on that. And it is online. That's great. It's online and working. Now, the first thing that I will do is allow people access to it. So I will go to the customer and figure out what are the IP addresses from where the customer would like to access the database, or where is the application located, right? Based on that, I'll go set up the server firewall. To set up the firewall, on the very top right hand side, you have the delete button, and the very next to it, you have the set server firewall button. Click on that, and then it will automatically detect your IP address, which is 49.204.169.169. You can click on add client IP and save. By default, it is not allowing anybody access to the Azure SQL database. If you would like to add more, then you can type in or manually punch in the IP addresses of start IP and the end IP.
Anand, when you say access to the users, why does the user need access? Some web or some front-end application need access to the database, right? So only the administrators need access.
That
Do
is
we need to
perfect.
add users separately?
Correct, correct. That is absolutely right. But the end user may also be not the end user. And when I'm saying administrators, when I said user, it was the
Administrator.
user requester or the database requester who
Okay.
will then become an end user for us. That was I was saying. Well, you said
Okay.
administrator. That yeah, that's exactly what it is. Administrator, the SQL administrator will need access to it. Um,
Okay.
you're right. So in that case, I have to put his IP address there,
Okay.
not the application users. It could be their applications which are accessing the database, or not the end users. It's just the administrators. You're right. Let's click on save.
I updating rule. Okay.
Right. So now you will be
Success.
able to access it. So let's say you had an SQL client installed on your machine. You will be able to access this particular database. We can actually try and test it as well. Click on start and open Excel. And from Excel, we'll try to connect to the database. All right, Excel. And on the very top, you have data. Click on data. And then the fourth option from the left is from other sources. Then you'll see from SQL Server. Right.
Right.
Now here I have to type the server name. So to get the server name, I'll go back to my Azure console and then go to the main page, overview page. I will then see the endpoint of it, which is SQL db1.database.windows.net. I'll copy the whole thing and go back to my Excel, paste it, type my user ID and password, select the second option, type the user ID and password. Next. It's the next. Okay. Do you want to connect to the master database? No, you may have some other databases there. Yeah, select your database
Yes.
and then just give it some time. It's trying to fetch some information. Can you do tab?
Yeah.
Right. I'm just wondering why the next button is not populated.
Do we get access to the database directly?
Yeah, you're logged in as a root account, which is root
Okay.
admin.
Yeah.
Okay. The next button is really not grayed out, or my eyes have a problem.
No, it's completely grayed out.
Okay. Okay. That's good news. That my eyes are good. So let's go back to the browser. Let's go back to the browser and we'll continue our work on this thing. You see this settings?
Yeah.
We'll go and see what all options do we have in the settings. Quick view, quick start, and basically it tells about various things that you gotta do. One of those things that we already did, which is modifying the firewall and allowing you access. And then there are several other tools that are available here that will let you access Azure SQL. One other thing that I did not discuss about is the tools section. Let's click on overview on the top, and then once you click on overview on the dashboard, you will see tools. Let's click on tools there, and then click on the second option, which is, well, not the second option, first option, which is query editor. Query editor. All right, still in preview. Let's check that box and say okay. Now you don't have to install Microsoft SQL Studio. You got it right here. You don't have to install an SQL client. You got a query analyzer right here, right? Let's click on login, then type your user ID and password, and that's it. Just type your password in that case, yeah, and say okay. Perfect. Now you're all set to write your own queries. You're authenticated as a root admin. We can write your queries if we know any queries, but we don't know any tables or any databases inside that. Let's go back to Excel and see what's going on there. There must be
Still
some.
no luck.
No, it should not take some time.
Just
Yeah,
check box.
correct. Yeah. Let's hit next. Perfect. Let's finish it. Click on finish, please. Okay, type in the password and that's it. Good to go. Click OK. Okay, that's good. So you got a list of tables there. All you have to do is just click on OK. Pick up one table and say OK. Say customer or anything. Customer. Okay. So that's all. We have only that information. Can we try it one more time, picking up some other table on sheet 2? Let's do it on sheet 2. Sheet 2. Okay. Okay. Other. Yeah.
We have to connect every time.
Yes.
This did not show up tables now.
You click on finish and then you'll get it. Maybe. No, don't select master. You selected master. Let's go back.
Ah, okay. We have to select
Right.
the one we created, right? We finish. Already exists.
Okay, say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Select customer, anything from the sales LT, yeah, anything because they are big, yeah. That will give you a lot of information.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all.
Okay.
That's your sample database. You just picked up sample database. So
Right.
which table is this?
Customer.
Customer.salesLT. So let's go back to your query analyzer. Say select star from customer.salesLT.
Table
Okay,
not required.
not required.
Customer
Dot sales LT. I think that was the table.
LT.
Okay. Now run it. What you have? Run. Okay. How
Failed.
about sales LT dot customer?
It was just customer, the display name over there.
Okay. Okay. This doesn't work. Try sales LT dot customer.
Sales LT dot
Done.
customer.
Hmm. We got something.
Yes. Right.
So you don't need a query analyzer, so you can do it from a mobile device or a phone. If you would like to quickly run some queries, you do not have to download an SQL Management Studio or any other client to run your queries. It's so fast here. Um, so administrators are really happy. It saves a lot of time. We don't have to install those memory guzzling products.
Right.
Great. Let's go back. Let's close this and go through the other options we got here. Right. Let's close this. You can always change the pricing tier, like the DTUs that you may want to change. Right. You can change the DTUs from 5 to 10 or 15, whatever you're looking for. Change it,
Okay.
right, and close it. Then replication. So this is what makes your data available in multiple geographical locations. So you'll get a world map here. Now your database is actually located on East US. That is represented as a blue dot. The violet,
Right.
what is that? Violet? Violet is that violet color?
Some purple color.
Purple.
West US. Yeah.
Purple. Yeah, so I had a big discussion between me and another participant in a class, and she was saying that it is purple, and I was saying it is violet. Well,
But whatever it is, it is West US.
yeah, and finally we settled down with brinjal.
Good settlement. Huh? Good negotiation.
Yeah, so we are from Hyderabad, right? Brinjal is on our tongue already.
Right. Correct. Sadiq is very silent. Huh?
So that's how we sorted that out. So what you have to do is, if you would like to keep your data in multiple geographical locations, all you have to do is, click on one of them, click on one of those dots, and your data will then get replicated. When you say violet, it means that Microsoft recommends you keeping the data over there. Um, some of the countries have certain laws and regulations where they would not like their data to be in a different country. For example, Germany, China, and US federal government. They would not like their data going out of their country. And that's why the recommendation is West US in this case. However, for testing purposes, we have sales data, testing, with several customer addresses. It's all fake information. We can try replicating to any other place if you like. All you have to do is take your mouse and put it in one of those green dots or the brinjal dot. Right. That's it. And now it asks you, do you want a read-only copy over there, or do you want a writable copy? Right? The region that you have selected is Central US, um, and the target server
City.
settings, and this exact same settings that we selected when we were choosing a primary database, right? So let's select that. Yeah, readable. It will be a readable copy.
So why can't we write there? So this central US does not have right. We can't put writable there.
No, you cannot keep writable. It's only readable information. For now.
Okay.
For now, it's a big question mark on Microsoft why it is not writable. So probably moving forward, they'll bring in those things.
Okay.
Okay. So target server, yeah, you know about this. So this is more for the business continuity perspective, right?
Right. Okay. No elastic pool.
Right.
Standard tier
Mm,
and say okay.
okay. So you'll see that it is slowly replicating to the other region. All right, let's go over auditing and threat detection. So this is one of the questions that were asked in the interview. How will you protect your database against any threats that or any vulnerabilities that may be there in your platform as a service? Well, you go to Azure SQL database and then just go ahead and enable that, right? So it lets you protect that. So click on Azure SQL threat detection and yeah, while it is loading.
So yeah, while it is loading, one quick question, Anand. So the readable copy that we are putting in a different geo, uh, so what we can do, it's useful only in case of disaster, right?
Right, and the applications can also connect to it if required.
Applications can connect a readable copy and take the information
For reading information, yes, not for writing.
for okay, only for reading. So that it's that repository is only for reports establishment, not for any writing.
Yes, yes, one of the reasons.
Okay.
So you have your SQL threat detection that is providing a layer of security. Now that is helping the customers to detect any threats or detect any potential threats or any anomalies and also respond to potential threats that can be found in the environment. Users will be receiving alerts as well, so you have an option over there to set up your email address. So just in case something happens, you can put the distribution list email address there. So click OK, and on the very bottom of the threat detection you have, yeah, that option.
Yes.
So send alerts too, you can set up your email addresses there.
Okay.
Alright,
Right.
so all you have to do is go to auditing and threat detection and turn the auditing option to on. Um, Auditing type, I'll keep it as blob. Table, table is really deprecated there. And in which storage account would you like to keep all your information as? And then you'll set up the threat detection on, and that's it. So it makes our life a lot easier. We don't have to deploy any intrusion detection systems and prevention systems. Kind of really expensive.
Okay.
Alright. Dynamic data masking. So have you encountered a scenario where you were contacting a customer care and they said, "Can you please tell me the last four digits of your credit card, or maybe just your year of birth. They are not asking for the whole thing. They're only asking for certain information which they can see. They cannot see the whole thing, and that's why they're looking for just the last four digits. They themselves are not able to see because that is really sensitive information which you would like to mask. Here, dynamic data masking will help prevent unauthorized access to the sensitive data. Right now, we have sensitive data like your first name, last name, and there, if you click on load more, you will see a lot more information than that. That is basically giving you, as an administrator, the choice to mask the columns or mask certain characters in a column. So let's pick up some anything, just anything from there, and say phone number. Yeah, yeah, account number. Okay, you added that, right? Okay. Now in the
Yeah.
very top, you will see sales LT. Yeah, click on it, and then you will see how would you like to mask it. The very last, you have this option, default value, credit card value, right? So you see use XXX, right? So credit
Yeah.
card can be masked like that, email addresses can be masked like that, or if you would like to mask the first few digits, yeah, exactly, custom string mapping, yeah, custom number masking. So you can say just mask the first five characters and the last three characters in the center part of it appears. So that's about masking your data. So that really helps. This feature is not available in Amazon yet, and even Google Cloud yet
Okay.
not available. All right, let's go delete it, or maybe close it and try to anything. Yeah. All right. Then there is encryption, which is transparent data encryption, which lets you encrypt your database or do a column level encryption. Yeah, that's it. So that encrypts all your backup and doing a column level backups. That is what transparent data encryption is doing. So it is basically protecting against any threats and malicious activities and doing a real-time encryption and decryption of the database or any backups that are associated with that. Um, so when you do encryption, right, it will also have a key as well, right? A key. Every encryption has a key, and it needs to keep the key somewhere in the key vault. Okay. Currently, it is unencrypted state, right? Or is it encrypted? Does it say encrypted when you go back to transparent
Yes. It
and
says, yeah, it
okay,
says already encrypted.
okay. By default, it is encrypting.
Mhm.
So when you click on off and then save it, what does it do? Does it decrypt it and save
Yeah, decrypting.
in progress? That's nice.
Where to find the encryption key in it?
It will be there in the vault, SQL vault. There will be a service called as, or a service offering from Azure. It's called as Key Vault. That's where it will be.
Okay.
So, if you would like to have a writable copy of your database, right? Writable copy of your database, that is one reason. Or you would like to take a backup of your database in a different backup altogether. For some reason, right? The reasons could be several based on your production environment. Then you'll go ahead and select Azure SQL Data Sync. Sync to other databases, basically. And then you'll create a new sync group there. Give it a name. Or do you want to use an existing database? Select that. Yes, we already have an existing database. Select, and then we should see our database there. Create. automatic sync is on or off. Say on. How frequently you want to do that is pretty much self-explanatory. um, 30 seconds. Okay, that was pretty fast. Okay. Yeah, hub wins or member wins. Conflict resolution, you have a hub and a member. So the server that we have, right, the my first DB is the hub, whereas SQL server will then become the members. When you're creating a new member, they will be like downstream partners. The hub will be upstream partner. Hub in this case is my first DB or SQL DB1. Okay, we can select anything. We don't have any requirement as of now. Hub wins. Okay, okay, which means SQL DB1 wins. And say okay, and now we have to add the SQL members.
So where does this new replica comes? In the same location as East US,
Yes,
where the first DB is existing?
correct. That will be in the same place. So it can also be on your premise. If you have a point to site connectivity or a site to site connectivity, it can be on your premise as well. Add an Azure database. Click on it, please. Add an Azure database. Right. So this is where you get an option to create an Azure SQL server. You want to try it? You want to try it?
Yeah, we'll give. Yeah.
Okay. This can be on the same Azure SQL server as well. Right. Okay. Okay. That's good. Azure SQL database. We did not create another Azure database there. Okay.
Mm,
Hmm. We have only one database, right? So we have to create one
right.
DB in the server and then come back to this point. Okay. Let's see what
Yes.
other options you got. Sync direction. Is it bi-directional or is it one side or two hubs? So those are the other options, right?
Right.
Right. Okay, so this is self-explanatory. As soon as you're done with the wizard, it will create another database in your SQL databases list. That will be a writable copy in that case.
So if we have a point-to-site connectivity, and I want to take the database onto my on-premise, so there would be some other additional options populated in this blade or what?
So click on add an on-premise database. Can you click on that? That's the option. Sadik is the option. Add an on-premise database. So you can then have a gateway here.
Okay.
So you are replicating from Cloud SQL database to on-premise.
Cloud SQL to on-premise in this case, yes. Yep.
Yes.
Can you select create a new agent as we don't have an agent right now, right? So you see that download option, it is necessary to install. So you have to download that agent there. You have to download and install it on your SQL server,
Ah, yeah, there is a download here.
right? Download and then type a name there, agent name, just type ABC or something. Yeah. Then you have to create and generate a key. So when you are installing that
Right.
agent, right? When you are installing that agent, at that time it will ask you, what is the agent name? What is the agent key? You have to type that inside there. And then only it will
All
come
right.
reflect over here.
Correct.
Does that answer your question, Sadiq?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So see, you got that agent key that is created. So when you're installing it, you get those options. Type the agent name and then the agent key. You just have to copy paste on your on-premise server. Okay, let's close this. Or maybe say okay, whatever you would like to get rid of these options, these screens here.
Okay.
Alright, I think we're done. Rest of them is the properties and locks and automatic script and certain alert rules, and you can change the database size as well, diagnostic settings, mostly for troubleshooting purposes.
Hmm.
So I would like you to memorize the transparent data encryption, dynamic data masking, auditing and threat detection, and geo replication. These are the ones that I was asked. And even how do you automatically scale? How do you automatically scale your VM to next level if this is not sufficient? So you can do that as well. Wow, this replication is complete. So can you go back to the main page, refresh it, like SQL databases, the first blade. Can you refresh that one? First one. Yeah, refresh it. So you'll see two of them. One is primary, another is secondary. Click on secondary.
Right.
You have similar options here. So as it is a read-only copy, you can of course go ahead and do tools and start querying. Can you do a geo replication for this, being a secondary copy? I think Microsoft should let you do that because they will get money.
Yeah, it's still recommending the purple,
Right.
the brinjal one.
So, what happens when you click on the brinjal one or any other green dot? Does it let you do that?
Let's see.
Okay, 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 got it. So they want money. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so your read-only copy is also getting replicated. Awesome. That is Azure SQL. You could have even used Azure SQL Management Studio to connect to this SQL database, but we used Excel and kind of a traditional tool to connect SQL database, and then also use other tools which are inbuilt in SQL. Okay.
No, I have a question in this. See, in traditional SQL installations and all, so we are sizing a server, let's say with 64 GB and all. So SQL guys would be capping the SQL memory in it. So is there any kind of options in this?
Capping the SQL memory.
Yeah, just like let's say my server is having 64 gig of RAM, and I don't want my SQL to utilize all the RAM because like I have my I mean like the operating system need to have some breathing space as well. So I would be carrying it to 60 GB. So is this anything kind of stuff available in it?
No, you don't have that option here.
Okay.
We are not managing the OS, right? So I think we don't require to think about RAMs, memory stuff there.
Correct. But is that I mean like we are not selected the elastic one. So if I have selected the I mean like the standard one and I have huge hits, so my SQL server will be on a hang state or kind of what?
So you want automatic scaling in that case?
No, let's say my scenario is like I have a standard machine with kind of, I mean, like let's say the D1 machine what I'm using in, and which is only 32 gig of stuff, and that is enough for me. I have a huge queries. I mean, like my in the month end, like I'll be taking a lot of stuff from my database administrators. At that time, the memory and the CPU of the machine is shooting up to 100%.
Mm.
So in that scenarios, how like the server will be in a hang state or and not able to access database kind of.
In that case, I will have alerts set up on my monitoring and then come to
Uh-huh.
this place and change the database transactions unit from what I have and then scale it up further. I can also change
Okay.
the database size and
Uh-huh.
change the database size. Can we close this one? Uh, can we close? Yeah, we have to do this and then I'll close this. Yeah. Asgar, can you close this?
Yeah.
And on the very bottom, you will have something called database size. Under monitoring, you have database size. So you can scale your database size. This is actually just monitoring. So where I should be able to see how much of RAM I've used, what is the percentage of database that's allocated to me. And then you see the options is to change the size of your database. Click here. Can you click that? This is just the, yeah, this is a small box, right? Rectangular box. No.
Where, sir?
Can we close this? It was there
This,
earlier. Yeah, this button. Yeah, that's it. That's it. You just pass through it. To change the size of your database, click here. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's eventually
We are
taken
back to same window, right?
back to square one. Yeah. So I think this is the only option that you have to change the DTUs. There's no other option. So you don't see the CPU, you don't see the RAM, anything of that sort here.
And it's written here, right? As this is standard, it does not have, but for premium, it have IO range exceeding for compute intensive workloads.
Right.
So
Premium. Yeah.
when it is providing high workload facility in premium and premium RS, that helps, I think. So can you tell this, the elastic option we have not selected, elastic pool. So where it is getting stuck, is it coming to this? If I select that elastic pool enabled, what does it mean? Does it mean that it will allow the 10 GB to cross when it reaches this threshold?
So now that is the
Where
case.
does that elastic comes into picture?
Elastic Pool will help me manage multiple databases or scale multiple databases. That specifically in case of the example that Sadiq was talking about, unpredictable, demands for the database. So
Okay.
we'll have a pool. The databases which are there in the Elastic Pool are 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 a single Azure SQL database server, and we'll be sharing a common set of resources. In this case, the resources are the DTUs at a constant price. So the Elastic pools which are there in Azure SQL database will help me to optimize the performance of the group of databases. At the same time, will help me deliver elasticity for each database. So in case
Okay.
of peak demand or in case of peak usage or overload, pools are helpful. They are helpful to save the cost, expense of performance, and customer satisfaction is also not degraded during the peaks because they are automatically uh, sharing the load between the bunch of databases that are there behind the scenes. So the databases that are there in the pool will get the resources or DTUs as and when they need it. Right?
Okay.
So it is closely linked to autoscaling, automatic provisioning of DTUs when there is a need. Okay, so what are we gonna do tomorrow? Let's go ahead and do Azure Active Directory tomorrow. Okay, for that we have to provision
Okay.
servers with ARM templates, which is Azure Resource Manager templates, called as ARM. We'll take a look at that and
Okay.
deploy the resources. Tomorrow will be like a 2 hour session probably to finish the entire Azure Active Directory session. Because
So
Right.
can we start a bit early, Anand, tomorrow? Because I got to catch up my shift by 9:30, and
yes,
I have an activity tomorrow. Can we start early?
yes, we can.
What time?
7:55. You said little bit early, right? So
So kind of like we need to get the 2 hour session completed by before 9 o'clock. I mean, like at 9 o'clock or 9:15, that would be great.
okay, yeah. So let's start by 7:30.
Sure.
All right. Okay, guys. Thanks,
Okay.
Aditya.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye.